From the historical, this really isn't a very positive sign file, we get German defense minister calls for war readiness by 2029. Whenever Germany rearms, things go really well historically. Just get a little bit into this story, all joking aside. Germany's Boris Pistorius has said the country needs to prepare for a worst case scenario regarding the specter of war in Europe. He also said a return to some form of military conscription would likely be necessary. I did a story just a few days ago about Poland, and I bring that up. Poland will order all men to undergo military training under plans to create reserve force as Europe rearms amid mounting tensions with Russia. And that story from the Daily Mail talks about how Poland is going to have an incentive-based program for conscription. And I don't know what those incentives will involve. That'll be worked out. But an incentive-based program for conscription, so that way they can fill their ranks and have trained men as a reserve. This is a separate story, but very much the same. German military faces massive shortages of soldiers. And it goes down to insisted called for a new and improved conscription system to be considered by the incoming parliament. Under Hogel's vision, young men and women would be obligated to do a social year. For some, this would mean being a soldier, while others would serve in different ways, such as disaster relief. They'll end up being soldiers. This is all preliminary steps to the EU army. I keep coming back to this, but you have essentially Polish conscription, not quite mobilization, because they're not mobilizing everyone into active regiments, but we have conscription in Germany and now in Poland. All of this under and following the European Council conclusions of European defense on 6 March 2025, where I've been stating that paragraph 3, section D and E create the European military industrial complex, similar to what you'll have in the United States. And I'm going to link these two articles here from DW. Each one of these articles actually talks about the expansion, yes, of conscription, but also of the military industrial complex. I'm just going to bring this up real quick. Germany has launched a full-scale rearmament program. And this goes into specifically the things that they're doing. And it's in this paragraph that the rearmament of Germany and every other force is financially approved. Welcomes the recent letter by President of the European Investment Bank that the plans therein to step up support for Europe's security and defense industry while safeguarding its operations' financial capability, and calls on the Board of Governors of the European Investment Bank to urgently continue to adopt the EIB's practices for lending to the defense industry, notably re-evaluating the list of excluded activities, creation of landmines, things that are barred by treaty. In this here, the Polish Prime Minister, in his speech to the Polish Parliament, specifically cites items that are being used by the Russians but that are banned by Europeans by treaty, and that they're just going to simply have to do it. That's him saying it. Again, this is going to be linked in the story, so you guys can watch it all for yourself. I don't want to go through it every single piece of it. But what we're looking at is a Europe that's rearming for war. And Europe that's rearming for war in a way that the world has never really seen before, as a united Europe. Well, mostly united. You're going to have some holdouts, the neutrals, Austria, Switzerland. And you're going to have some other ones like Hungary, Romania, who are always going to be stubborn, hard-nosed. But for the most part, you're going to have a united Europe. Not a united NATO, a united Europe. And they have here by 2029. That's what they're saying. By 2029, they need to be ready for war. Okay, well, 2029 is a long ways away. And between now and then, you'll have numerous European defense councils, similar to the one that just happened on March 6th, where you're going to have decisions such as this, which are relevant for decades to come. The financial means for the creation of a military-industrial complex. And then you're going to have a Germany who's going to go on a full rearmament, utilizing this means to do it. So Germany is rearming. Poland is rearming. They're now getting into conscription. They will not be the last. They will not be the last. Look for other large European countries to do the exact same thing. One of the leaders in the fight against the Ukrainians has been the Spanish. I would actually expect the Spanish to announce some form of this in the near future. Of course, we'll be watching it here. That's a Japanese whiskey today. Boy, that lets you know. It does not come in silently in the night. But look for other nations to have some form of conscription. The Italians already said they're not going to have boots on the ground, but I would look for the Italians to start boosting their military. Look for each individual country, independently of one another at first, to raise their militaries, their defense industries, individually, and in a year or two, look for the chartering of a European army. All the groundwork has been laid. You have your adversary. Now, most people on this channel will say that that is definitely a real adversary. I will agree. Some people will say it's a made-up adversary. What I will say is that, real or made up, it is just cause. It is just cause for what's happening today. In Poland, in Germany, in France. France has been at the forefront of all of this. They don't have, as far as I know, they don't have a conscription. I could be wrong on that. Let me look real quick. It does appear that French military conscription was phased out in 2001. I don't know if that's the case. If I were to have any French viewers, please tell me if I'm wrong. But if this is correct and it was phased out, I would look for a form of it to be phased back in. The Spanish, the French, the Italians, some form, voluntary, incentive-based, something like that. I could absolutely see that happening. Germany is not the last. Poland was the first one to go open with it publicly. Now we have Germany. Who's to follow? We'll keep an eye out on this channel. We're watching for the formation of the EU army because we know it's coming. And I would anticipate within just a couple years, the EU standing up at least a division or two of European-led forces, not individual nation-led forces. Whether they'll be from conscription or volunteer, we'll find out. But I appreciate you coming here to find out about it. And if you liked it, hit the like. Share it with a friend, maybe even subscribe, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you.